First duty station was at Fort Benning, Georgia. Was there for about 9 weeks for basic training. After I left Fort Benning, Georgia, I was shipped off to Fort Lee, Virginia. Went there for about maybe 6 weeks or so. After I left Fort Lee, Virginia, I headed to St. Louis, Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood, also known as Fort Lost in the Woods, for some more training. After I left there, I was sent off to Fort Drum, New York. I was at Fort Drum for about 5 months, and then I was shipped off for my first deployment, which was in Iraq.
I was stationed at two different forts. One was Fort Dix, and the other one was Fort Knox.
The reason why I entered the Army, to be honest with you, felt like it was something I had to do. And that's about the only good reason that I could give you.
I entered the National Guard so that I wouldn't have to serve full time away from my family.
Yes, my father was. My father did 32 and a half years in the Army.
My uncle Dominic was Eisenhower's personal guard during the Second World War. My uncle Pete did some kind of thing in military intelligence. My uncle Vinny was in the Navy.
When it was pretty much time for him to retire, he retired as Command Sergeant Major. In the enlistment side, that is pretty much as high as you can go. He was a brigade Command Sergeant Major. I think he had over about maybe 4,000 troops under him, somewhere around there. While I was deployed, my primary responsibility was basically I had to go outside the wire each and every morning, line up fuel trucks, bring the fuel trucks in, pretty much do. We had to search the drivers, search the trucks, make sure there wasn't any type of let's say bombs or anything like that on the truck. And after we did all that, after we did the clearance, search everything, we brought the fuel trucks on the post. Emptied them out, and sent them out on their way.
After basic training, I went to Fort Knox, and I trained in the Tank Corps, and I was a gunner on a tank. My training was tank gunner.
The hardest part was my first deployment was when that was the hardest part. When I first got to Fort Drum, they were saying, pretty much don't unpack your bags. We're getting shipped off to Iraq in 5 months. So I would say that was the hardest part, actually, packing up and leaving. You're leaving the United States, going to a foreign land, nothing I really didn't know anything about, really didn't know what to expect.
You're trained to be unselfish. It is not about you anymore. It is about your company, your platoon, your buddies, the people that you're potentially going to be fighting with. And that training comes hard to many people.
While we were deployed, a good day was a day that there were no type of attacks or anything like that, no mortars, no nothing, just pretty much just a nice and calm day. Just wake up in the morning, do your daily duties, get off from work, and I would say go hit the gym.
In the latter half of the training, we got weekends off. So we would get a Saturday and a Sunday off. I never looked at it that way.
I would say in both Iraq and Afghanistan, I consider my rifle as my best friend.
I think it's more of a tool. It's just one of the things that you can call upon to survive, to conquer.
Well, I'll say my best friend and a tool of survival. I remember my mom asking me a question before I left for my first deployment. She if it came down to it, do you think that you would be able to kill anyone? I was like, and I told her, I answered her question with another question. I was like, Mom, would you rather prefer for me to come home in a wheelchair, in a box, or on my own 2 feet? And she said, my own 2 feet. So I was like, well, there goes your answer.
It, um,
Um, well, that question is a kind of a tough question to answer because I've been back from Afghanistan since 2011, and I'm still trying to adjust back to society.
it didn't take very long. And unlike people who've been in the service for a long time and have seen some really horrible things, um, I didn't have that experience. I was in there a short period of time, 6 months. When you're at a table, or let's say in the mess hall, and someone says, and you want the salt, you'll say, "Could you pass me the effing salt?" I have no idea why we did that. Everybody wanted to be tough. Well, I did that at Thanksgiving at my parents' house, and that didn't go over very well. But that, if that's an indication of making a transition, it's very minor. But on the other hand, it gives you an idea of how residual some of the habits that you form are.
Most definitely.
No.
Another thing my father told me before I joined the military, he said the friends that you gain while in the military, or pretty much while you were in the army, will be friends that you have for life.
But that's more my personal nature.
You know, I believe that if something happened or if I was in dire need of something, I could just call one of them and, you know, I'll be good to go.
There was an attempt by one of my fellow soldiers to keep in touch, but it's just not my thing. It was over. We did it. We're done. Not that I want to forget it. It's just that we didn't have a lot. Other than that's the other thing. I think maybe this is what's hitting on it, is that we don't have a lot in common. Other than the fact that we were out there in my case, training. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I would.
One side of me would probably be kind of devastated, worried, especially if there was a war going on. The other side would probably like, you know, this is what you really want to do, you know, do it.
I would want them not only to join the service, I think, because I think it's a good idea. I would want them to do well.
But make sure it's something that you actually make sure it's something that you really, really want to do. Because once you're in it, once you sign a contract, there's no getting out of it. I would have to say I probably would do it all over again.
Yeah, I would. I would. I think I took the best course that I knew how to take at the time to protect my family, my career, and the future. By protecting my career, I really don't protect my career. It's my future, my family's future, by doing what I did. It was National Guard. It was a part-time soldier, which is fine. But we did get the right training. We did go to camp every summer for 2 weeks. Learned a lot about tactics, how you get stuff done. I would do the same thing all over again. Yeah.
And that's just because of the people that I met while I were in there, the people who I was deployed with. You know, it's you know, pretty much while you're in a life or death situation, if you have somebody that you can depend on, watching your back, your brother, your sister in arms, you know, you'll give your life for that person. And I would say, with me joining the military and having that type of friendship and meeting those type of people, I would damn sure do it again.